Hey everybody, it's JJ Conway. I want to thank you guys for being on the line today. We're going to get started in just a second. We have folks who are here live in person, and then we're also have the folks online, so that's going to be fantastic. I'm in the process of sharing the screen and stuff right now, and if you are not already logged in, please go to freeconferencecall.com/wall/192-891-499. All right. It should be up any second now. It's thinking. As soon as it goes, we'll share the screen. All right, we are recording. This is JJ Conway. I'm really excited that you guys are on today. We're gonna, I'm just about to share my screen. Like I said, we have the in-person class, and then we also have the folks on the line. Forgive me, I'm realizing I clicked the wrong thing. You know, every one of these classes, I say to myself, we are not having technical difficulties. I think what I need to do is stop focusing on the words technical difficulties and start saying we are going to be, what do we want to say, technologically successful? You know, it's that whole concept that we've been talking about in our classes on Mondays at 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern. We've been talking about how what we focus on is what we get. Hey, how are you doing? And I'm fantastic. Do me a favor, because we are recording, go ahead and sign in for me. I need to have proof that I told you guys we were recording, and that if you are here and you show up, you cannot sue me or your heirs for money, because I'm not going to pay you. I'm going to give you great content, and your life is going to be improved and blessed and all that good stuff. That didn't really come out really well, but you know, I can work on that phrase. All right, so for those of you who are on the line, thank you so much for being here. What we're going to do is we are going to just go ahead and start teaching the class because people are here, but the person who was going to record is not here yet. So for those of you who are on the line, once they get here, once the production team gets here, then we're going to stop and we're going to let them come in and stage and, you know, snap some pictures and stuff, and then we're going to get started again and finish out the class. But the way I figured it, it was no sense in just waiting and waiting and waiting. We said we were going to start at 1. We're going to start at 1. All right. So let's see. I've got it. I've got the link there. I've got the presentation here. We lost Greg. He'll be back in a second. I think he's trying to round up some folks. But we also, I get the feeling that the person who was recording misunderstood my email, because I think my email made it sound like let's wait, but I didn't think it sounded that way. So there may be, this may not go as well as I had hoped, but hold on a second. Can you guys see the screen? Please, someone let me know if you can see the screen. I appreciate that. It should be screen sharing right now. PowerPoint slideshow. Start sharing. All right, y'all, that's my bad. I put y'all on mute. Hey, come on. We're going to go ahead and get started. I've actually got people on the line. Yeah. Hey, do me a favor and sign in, though, just so when the production team gets here, we will take a break and do whatever staging she needs, and then we will just keep rolling. But for now, we're going to go ahead and do the class itself because we have people here. And then we will go to lunch, and we will be educated and bellies full. Yes. Get a spiritual blessing, a natural blessing, and a physical blessing. I like all that. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, one of the rebranding things that we're going to be doing while I plug in my pluggy thing here, there we go. One of the, is that on? On. One of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be rebranding our actual meeting. And, well, this is interesting. Oh, that's why it wouldn't work, because I didn't have it on the right screen. Okay, so one of the things we're going to be doing, for those of you who are new, is we're going to be rebranding this meeting. So today is a pop-up, but normally we meet on the first Saturday of every month, and we do wealth building, business building, workshops like this. In April, we're going to do Real Estate Investing 101, and I'm really excited about that because it's my most fun class of the year. And so when I was talking with my mentors, they brought up a really good point. You should teach the thing that you get the most enjoyment out of and focus. If you narrow down your focus, it'll help you reach more people. Instead of always having a different topic all the time and people come and go as they please, focus it down and you'll be able. I was like, well, you know what? I can teach a year's worth of classes on real estate investing. It's what I've been doing for 15, 20 years, right? So with that, we are going to do this class today. We are doing how to get started in public speaking next weekend, and then we're going to do the kickoff of Real Estate Investing 101, and then we're going to roll into real estate topics for the rest of the year. We'll still do these classes from time to time. We'll maybe do them in the libraries. We might do them here. We're going to move them around Shreveport and Bossier City. But for now, we're going to transition. The Building Wealth Together meeting is going to turn into the Architects Real Estate Investors Association. And you all have an opportunity to be a charter member of that. You'll find out about at that meeting. Today what we're going to talk about is get paid to create. And this is making money from your craft without selling your soul. I said that because a lot of times it's really hard for people who are creative to actually make money. And I discovered that the hard way when I wrote, well, my first two books are not up here, but this is the first one that actually made money. When I wrote my first book, I had trouble making money. Because I thought if you write a book and you put it out there, people will buy it. Because I have my family, I have my church folks, I have all these people that I just knew everybody was going to buy a copy of the book because I wrote it. Who wouldn't? Turns out a lot of people wouldn't. And I found out real quickly that writing a book isn't about writing the book, it's about marketing the book. And so there are a lot of authors out there who are making money. There are a lot of authors out there who are making money. She can't come. She has to go to work now. There are a lot of authors out there who are making books is what I meant to say. They're making books, but they're not making money. I'll just have to hang on a second, everybody. Hopefully I'll have time.
John Grisham to make money and books.
What's that?
People like John Grisham to make money, books, and movies.
Well, see, the thing about folks like that who are, you know, those long-standing authors, they had some things that we don't have. I'm letting her know we're doing a class. All right. She says come back at 6:15. I'm like, I got the kids. That's not going to work as well. I said, so after she can come now. So I'll have to make sure I edit that out of the video. So what I do with these is I teach these classes. For those of you who do, because we do have somebody new today, I teach these classes free, and then I sell the recordings, okay? And so usually I get around to actually editing that kind of stuff out, but sometimes life happens, and I'd rather get it out than just let it sit in my computer and never actually publish it. So we try to be mindful of that. I try not to say too much that will get me in trouble later on. But for me, I wasn't like John Grisham or Stephen King or any of those who found a way to get known.
Right.
And there's a process to getting known. You've been in the entertainment business yourself, so you know it's not as simple as being discovered. There's lots of ways to get discovered. Some of them are more moral and ethical than others, but the fact of the matter is no one is just going to go down to the street and sing and play an instrument really, really well and have people say, ooh, I need them to come play or sing for me. It happens on rare occasion, but very, very, very rarely. Who has seen the video? I forget his name. There's a video of a famous violinist, world famous violinist who they put playing outside the Metro in Washington, D.C., playing one of the hardest pieces, very highly classical. I should find that and add it to this presentation. He was playing these incredibly complex pieces, and folks were walking by, and some people were giving him the time of day. Others really weren't. And the reason they did this experiment was to prove that just because you have talent doesn't mean other people are going to appreciate it.
Right.
And what I find is someone who is reasonably talented at writing. I mean, you don't write 8 books and not be reasonably talented at writing, you know, because after the first one, you don't have money to publish the others if they don't sell, right? But someone who's reasonably talented at writing, I find that you have to do the same thing as every other genre. You have to get yourself in front of the people who need what you have to offer. And so this presentation is about getting ourselves in front of the people that need what we have to offer in a way that is profitable for us and for them. All right. So first, just a little bit about myself for those of you who are new. My name is J.J. Conway. I came home from a 6-month military trip to find my house sold, my stuff thrown out, and divorce papers in my face. I signed divorce papers that next Tuesday, I believe it was, and instantly I became a single mom with over $845,000 of debt. I was not counting on spending a lifetime trying to pay off. And at first I thought, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. And then I thought, well, I'm super creative and I'm a very hard worker and I've had a side hustle for a very long time. I'll get through this. The thing is, I am not a salesperson. Now, I am more of a salesperson now than I was before, but I am not one of those natural salespeople. This kid is a natural salesperson, okay? I suspect you are a natural salesperson. Folks like me and you, we have to work on it. We have value, we have great ideas, we have big hearts, but we do not have the natural, hey, how you doing? Oh, I never met a stranger. Let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go have fun. Like, that's not who I naturally am. That is someone I have worked to become, but it is not my natural bent, okay? And so I failed miserably. And I mean, failure is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, the fact that I'm still alive after the day after I found out that I had all this debt, some of it I didn't know about, that speaks to the testament that I'm not a complete failure. But when it came to making money, I was not making money. I was making maybe $100 here and $100 there, and I wasn't losing money, but I wasn't making the kind of money that it takes to get out of this in 9 years. All right? And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you something that you can use today. Now, for those of you who are natural salespeople in the room, you're going to be like, well, of course, I know some of this stuff. But I'm also going to give you some nuance, okay? Some nuance that you may not have thought of, because when something comes natural to us, we don't ever don't ever drop back and dig under the surface and make sure that what we're doing is actually a long-term beneficial business decision. All right, so step number 1, let me just make sure that she didn't, all right, step number 1 is to figure out who is our ideal client and how we can help them in a profitable way. So it's really easy for us to say, well, this is what I want to do. But if we need to make money, we've got to make sure it's not just something we love to do, but it's actually something the world needs. It's something that we can be paid for, and it's something that we're good enough at that people will pay us. That's where we hit our sweet spot, which I call the highest and best use. Okay? Now, granted, if, like for me, I'm in the ministry. Ministry, by definition, wait a second, I should take that back, because there are a lot of club owners that have business ministries. They have discovered very quickly that that is a great way to make money. The ministry itself can be profitable, but most people who have a heart and passion for the Lord aren't in ministry to make profit, okay? So it's okay if our highest and best use isn't mega millions. But if we have a calling or something, we need to be able to generate the cash flow we need to conduct our life and achieve our goals and still fill our purpose. So in my case, I have these boys here. I can't just say I'm going to live on beans and rice and only make $10,000 a year. I can say that, but it hinders their lives. Now, if they're grown and gone and I feel like I can get by on nothing and eat dog food for the rest of my days, that's a different story. But right now, I have a responsibility. A few ramen noodles, yeah, sprinkle in a few ramen noodles, right? But right now, I have a responsibility. So I can't just say, well, I'm going to be in the ministry and I'm going to let the Lord provide. Well, see, I don't want to say it that way because you know what? Some of us are called to that. And even in here, you'd be amazed at how small of a budget we have for as much as we do. So I feel like I keep bumping up against the wrong spirit on what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is we all have a calling and we all have people we're called to reach and we all have something we're called to do. And some of that takes money. Whether we have the money or the Lord sends the money, some of that takes money. And if you're in this class today, I'm imagining that you're hoping to find ways to make more money. So along that line, if our ultimate passion isn't profitable, there's different things we can do. We're all familiar with missionaries who go from church to church asking for money to fund their missions. And a lot of us have nonprofits where we depend on donations from the community to do what we need to get done. Our goal, though, in being prudent planning, like our church lesson this morning, was taking the steps we need to do to get to this point that's called enough, where our living expenses have come down far enough and our passive investments, our passive monies have grown enough to cross over, and now we have more money coming in than we actually need to live. Now, I don't need red bottom shoes to live. Okay, that's not in this number. For some people, it may be in this number. Like maybe I told Chris the other day. I said, well, you know, when I'm a big time public speaker making $100,000 per speaking engagement like John Maxwell, well, maybe red bottom shoes will need to be in the budget. Yes.
What are red bottom shoes?
Very expensive shoes that hurt your feet, but they look good.
See, I've always found that as nice as fashion is, I'm more function. If I'm on my feet, I want my shoes to be comfortable.
I agree with you. However, millions of women worldwide have discovered that men pay more attention to women in feet whose shoes hurt their feet, and men pay more attention to women who wear makeup, even though they all say universally, I don't like makeup. All right. So what makes a passion profitable? And this is one of the things, and the reason I'm going to spend more time on this than the rest of the 7 steps is because this is the number one step that I find that trips up people who are creative. See, you know if you're a creative person, or you're what I would call a creative, capital C, from this direction, capital C, or if you are what's called a maker, somebody who likes to make, create, engineer, create stuff. Because you are the person who will write the book, whether or not it ever sells. You are the person who will build the set, and you have more fun building the set than even using the set to do the acting. You have more fun building the house. You have more fun creating the vase rather than shopping for one or doing anything else. It's in you to create. There are people who create music and they almost can't help it, okay? And so that is the people who are in that boat, make the beautiful artwork, make the beautiful sculptures, make the beautiful, the nice, warm, snuggly knit stuff. Whatever it is we create. I create books. I create courses. I have just as much fun creating these as I do giving them to you. But I know that creating them doesn't make me any money. I need money for what I want to do with my life and for what I want to do with my kids. All right. So that's when I talk about being passionate about something, about being a creative. That's what I mean. Like, even if you didn't get paid, even if I didn't get paid, I can't help but write. Clearly, I talk. Right. People who love to talk, they just talk no matter what. What? Oh. Okay. So she might be able to be here. She might be able to be here by 2. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry for you guys online. Let me make sure I still have you guys. Well, I guess this is a good time for me to check. Okay. Okay, so she might be able to swing by on her way to work. Yeah, there's water back there. And there's snacks back there. All right. Hey, thank you guys for being patient on the line. All right. Make sure this is still good. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to edit this one, which is frustrating because it takes time to edit these things. They're not 100%, but if somebody pays for the class, I don't want them to have to listen to all this. So, which in the beginning, it was so hard. You know, now there's so much free software. You can really edit a whole lot of stuff. And in the past, though, it was just such an ordeal. I just said, well, okay, you just got what you got, you know. But for those of us who are creative, we have a passion for something, and we fall into several camps. One camp is we don't know how to make our passions profitable. We don't know how to make it something we can pay for. So I was working with one person who I love dearly who does knitting, and she's having a hard time selling her knit and crocheted items. Well, I saw somebody else who makes so much money. She goes to like the night markets and all that stuff, and she makes very good money with her knit stuff. So I said, hey, I need you to school me on how are you making this profitable, because my friend's having trouble being able to sell the items for the time and love and energy that she put into it. And so because when you create, a lot of times you put way more into it than the average person is willing to pay. Okay, she says she's going to swing by. Woohoo! All right. So what we may end up doing, if the class ends before she gets here, we may just go over and eat at Ichiban and then come back, because she has to go to work at 3. Okay. So we have to make sure. Let me go back. It has to be something we love, but it also has to meet a pressing need of the people around us. So when I look at some things that I love, and some of you may have seen this before, these are real world things. I don't know where my picture of airport walking went. Did I not include it? Have you seen my picture of the 17 different businesses I've tried? I need to put that in here. So these are just some examples. I'm very passionate about military single moms. Before 9/11, I had a business called Airport Walkers of America. Basically, I traveled 20, 30 times a year. And so because I traveled so much, I knew each of the big airports. I would get the maps. Now look, internet was not big back then, okay? It was just starting to take off. And you couldn't just go to every airport and download their map, you know. So I had it all mapped out where all the big airports were. I'd uploaded all their maps. We had who has storage lockers, so you can put your carry-on bags in and you can go walk. And this was before 9/11, so you could have full-size travel stuff and you could just clean yourself up real quick. And so what we would do with the group of people on my little website we were all frequent travelers. We would book long layovers so we could exercise, because when you're on the road, it's really hard to keep yourself trim. If you're flying constantly, and you know, that's like every other weekend I was traveling. I've always been passionate. I'll have to get that screenshot for you guys. I've always been passionate about youth ministry, and even though I do Global Youth Initiative now, for a long time I wasn't really good with youth. And so it was just something that I loved, though, because somebody poured into my life when I was younger. They poured into my life. And my mom couldn't afford for us to go to the youth center on base and have the membership. But the guy at the youth center let us come in. I probably shouldn't tell the story because I don't want anybody to get ideas that'll get them fired. But he let us come in and he let us play the games and he let us swim in the pool and he let me help him by working around the place. And he kept us in a safe spot so that we didn't fall into all kinds of other things that we could have fell into. And people poured into my life, so I wanted to pour into the lives of other kids. I've always wanted to pour into the lives of somebody else. Financial empowerment. Surely by now, y'all know that is big for me. I got out of debt. I want to help other people get out of debt. I have a fantastic life. I want to help other people have a fantastic life. I feel qualified to do it because I was one of those people that the teachers cast aside and thought wasn't going to be nothing. I'm one of those people who their family felt like they weren't ever going to be nothing, and I know what it's like for other people to watch while this golden child and that golden child always gets all the accolades and the help, but we don't always get the accolades and the help. And the Lord has called me to go out to the masses with a special calling to help take the money I make going out to everybody, but helping the people who have been forgotten about, who have been overlooked, or who have been cast aside. That is what I have been called to do, okay? But not all of those things meet a pressing need of the people around me anymore. After 9/11, they took the lockers out of the airport. They don't allow you to carry full-size toiletries anymore. It's just hard now. If you want to get your exercise on a layover, you're either dragging your bag along behind you the whole time now, or you're going to work up a sweat to get on your next flight because you can't freshen up. It's just no longer relevant to the people around here. There are a lot of us that lost businesses after 9/11. One of my first real estate investing mentors, Sherman Ragland, he tells a story of how he had a federal aviation business. So they did federal aviation contracts, and basically they helped move one contract from the other, and they moved supplies one from another on a small scale that the big companies didn't want that business. So, you know, a lot of companies are like that. You've got your big conglomerate companies. There's jobs that are too small, but they still want to get a cut, so they refer out to smaller business. And he did that for the aviation world. But when 9/11 happened, they had all these new regulations and all these new stipulations, and little guys like him couldn't afford to play in that field anymore. He lost his $3 million a year business. A lot of us had businesses that weren't relevant. So what I'm saying about that is you can be passionate about something. You can even be profitable with it 10 years ago, but it's no longer relevant. And that happens a lot in the creative space because creativity creativity doesn't go away, but what the non-creative public is willing to pay for is fickle. Today it's knit beanies. And right, what's popular right now? So this is the thing that my friend I told you about, what she's selling right now. They're so cute, and she's selling a lot of them. Is the messy bun hats. So they're messy. They're beanies with a hole in the top to put your messy bun through. Wow. Okay, that's not going to be popular for 20 years. It's popular now because the messy bun is a thing now. Right. Well, some people spend more time on their messy bun than I spend on flattening my hair. Okay, so it also has to be something that we're good at, good enough that people are willing to pay us. And it doesn't mean that we're the expert, but what it does mean that we know enough to understand what they want and how to serve them. Okay, and so when I did my first classes, I didn't know as much as I know now, and I really didn't know anything about teaching people. I thought because I was well-written and well-spoken, I could just get up and talk and you would get something out of it. I also thought that because I was in the military and because of my rank, when I said something, people listened. Those two statements does not equal a good public speaker. No. But the thing is, even though I didn't know a whole lot, I just knew people needed help. I needed to make money. I went out there to do it the best way I could. I went to teach at Air University and learned all the stuff I was doing wrong. But I still helped people, and I still made money. Yes, sir. Air University is the teaching arm for the Air Force. Okay. So you have all of your officer training, your PME, your professional military education, NCO Academy, Squadron Officer School, Air War College, all those things. Yeah. So it. Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So it has to be something that we're good enough at. And in my case, I was never good enough with youth to make money out of it. I mean, and I have done a lot with youth throughout the year. I mean, it just depends on where I'm at and what's popular, but I've never been good enough at it, at connecting with the kids. And so up until now, that was just never my thing. Now, I do the youth, and the Global Youth Initiative has been growing every April and October. It's been growing, and I'm excited about that, but it just wasn't my sweet spot, okay? The final thing is it has to be something that somebody will pay you for, and this falls into a couple categories, okay? If I can learn, people will pay me for knitting lessons, not me because I can't teach you how to do that because I can't even do it myself. I have done it, but I forget all the time, and I have to relearn. But people will pay for lessons how to do stuff, but a lot of people are just going to go to YouTube. I talked to, if you guys go online, you can see my video from the Makers Fair, and I interviewed someone who makes the wreath. She made my Steelers wreath. Her name is Tamara White, and she makes the big wreaths that you hang, and she can customize them to anything that you want. I've talked to a lot of people who are frustrated because they make all these home decorative products, and people won't pay for them. And they're like, but I can go to Walmart and get that for $10. And the artist will invariably say, you can't go to Walmart and get this for $10 because I use quality ingredients and my time is worth $10, more than $10. And I would say to that artist, and for those of you online, I can't see your faces, but please trust my heart that I don't want to offend anybody who hears this. I'm not paying for your time. I'm paying for the effect. And the effect of me going to Walmart and buying that thing for $10 is just the same as buying one from you that looks just like it. What I will pay for is for Tamara to make me a customized Steelers wreath. I happily gave her my money because she made something for me that was personalized to me, and that's what the interview was about when I stopped to interview her. So it has to be something people pay for. Now, there's another category that I'm going to talk about with my list, and that is military single moms. And if you go online to militarysinglemoms.org, you see I'm still running that. We've got a lot of great initiatives planned for that once I retire, and I can't wait to share them with you. But I know in my heart they're not things that I can do while I'm actively employed, so that is down the road, you know. But here's the thing. Nobody cares about single moms. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news for those of you who don't know that, but every time I tried to advocate for something for single moms, the door would always get shut in my face, and so much judgment in the military communities. Now, that may not necessarily be true in all the civilian communities, but even at a lot of the big churches, a lot of the big agencies that supposedly help people out and even have programs for single mothers, when it comes time to support, if it's not their Bible study that they're willing to do, or if it's not their little program that they're willing to do, they are not willing to help. And so I don't want to say that. People care more now than they did in 2009 when I started this, but they don't care enough for me to make a nonprofit out of it that's going to give me a decent salary. Doesn't mean I kick it to the curb. I'm still passionate about everything on that list, including military single moms, but I focus on the profitable one, and I use the rest of the profits to fund the others, okay? So for me, the most profitable one, you see I got the check mark there, is the financial empowerment, and that's what I teach, okay? Now, I like for people to focus on things that they can start building now that will help them get streams of income now, and that's what we're going to talk about with the rest of this real quick. If you have something that you want to create and you look at who is your ideal client and you do the analysis to figure out who would buy what you have and who would pay you enough for what you have. In fact, I think I'm going to hang on that spot for just a second. Because when I first became a financial planner, well, I've been doing it for 20 years, but when I first started to get paid, when I first transitioned from volunteer to paid, I said, I know who I'm going to go help. I'm going to go help the broke single mom turn her life around and build wealth. I'm going to help the new divorcee who doesn't know what she's going to do. Because most of the time when women get divorced, they have been caring for the family, and they have been helping support their husband, and they may not have the career of their own, you know, because I've been in a predominantly military environment. And you know what I discovered real quick when I went after those people? And take a guess? Huh? They do want the help. Hey.
They want help when no one's willing to give them the help.
They want the help. They're happy I'm willing to give them the help. Let me tell you what they don't have. They don't have the money to pay me for my time. And it doesn't mean that I still don't take those clients. I do. We have a hardship program, but I have very stringent requirements. You are going to put in a lot of effort to get my coaching for free.
Sure.
You know,
Time is worth money.
Because my time is worth money. And every time that I sit here in that office over there and I go through finances with somebody, those two boys are either, hey, do you need a nappy nap? Yeah, go, but clean this up first, please. Clean this up first. Take him to the back and he can play basketball, but clean that up first. So every time I'm over here, either those boys are at home by themselves or they're over here in these chairs or they're in the back room.
Right.
That's got to be compensated, you know. And so what I had to do was shift my thinking to realize, okay, that's not my ideal client because that's not what they're not. Me with this vision of serving the single mom, that was not going to put food on my table. And it wasn't going to put money in my son's college fund. It also wasn't going to give me money to help this ministry and keep the lights on, which clearly we had another storm. You know, it's been raining. So I was in here the other day for prayer, and I start hearing the drip, 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 and we have a new leak. And I went to the mall, and they're just like, okay, we'll get to it. And I'm just like, I don't know how many more lights we can lose, y'all. Because the problem is the water comes in and it shorts out the lights. And these are all old ballasts. So you can't just replace the light bulb. You have to replace the whole thing. And so that's why there's so many of them. Yeah. Yeah, I think we estimated it was going to be about $10,000 to replace these lights. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not putting that into the mall. You know, my lease doesn't say I have to. And if we get too dark in here, I'll bring in some lamps, you know, but I'm not going to refit all of these. There's a lot more than even what you see here. All right, so anyway, getting back to this. We have to figure out who our ideal client is, how they're the hero of their lives with what we have to offer. And so when we help people feel like they are really making a change, and when we help people feel like they are the ones who are winning, they are more readily willing to buy what we have. So I have this book here. I was so excited about this book. And I did it for a speaking engagement. We had a VIP dinner, and everybody got a copy, and I got to talk about the book, and I was just like, I felt like I was so big time. Let me tell you what, not one person beyond that has bought this book.
Wow.
Well, the reasoning why this book, first of all, and I found this out 2 years later, but, you know, at the time, I didn't know. Stop blocking your legacy. This is negative, first of all.
Right.
Okay? The cover, I just picked a pretty cover, you know, and it's got me on the back. So, of course, it's great.
Sure.
But that does nothing for anybody. It doesn't help inspire anybody. It doesn't help anybody feel like, yay, I'm the hero of my life. This feels like, oh, she's just going to dump on me. You know what I mean? So we want to make sure that we're giving people what we have to offer in a way that makes them feel awesome about it. Now, I'm going to go fast through the rest of these. We have time. Later we can talk about the differences in them, talk about the details. All right.
I like your note.
You like my note there? The next, once we figure out who it is that we're going to serve and how we can best serve them, we want to craft what's called the juicy intro. Now, I did not come up with, for those of you who can't see the note there, I did not come up with the phrase juicy intro. There is actually a lady who teaches an entire workshop on crafting your juicy intro. And at the end of that workshop, you will have your 7-second, this is who I am and this is what I do. I'm J.J. Conway, and I empower others to achieve financial independence through business and financial education, you know. And you can be able to rattle it off, right? But as you can see, for those of you who can't see the note, I tried to find out who that lady was that I actually got this from, and all it brings up is the notorious B.I.G. So I'm like, well, okay, if anybody ever listens to one of my classes and knows who this lady is, please let me know so I can give her credit. Because we always talk about the elevator speech. Yep. But the elevator speech is still too long. We have to grab people's attention quick because all of us are busy. All of us are tired. All of us are hungry, and all we want is to just get on with our lives and make us better. And we really don't want to hear you drone on for 2 minutes about how you help people get out of debt. Okay? All right. The next step, and this is one that was really important to a lot of the creative folks that I have, is that we like to do things and we like to get it right, especially in my STEM classes. People don't like to be wrong. We've got that cautious personality that just likes to be right and move forward only when we're right. But we have to be okay with it being a hit or miss or a trial run. I launch a class. Where's a class, a recent class? Okay, I'll do this one in March. So I'm so excited. My books came. Look, y'all take a look at these books. Don't take them, though. They're $20. All right? These are for my class next month. These are my self-image mastery books. And these are the lessons that helped me restore my self-image after that car accident just really ruined my confidence in who I was. Okay? So we have this class. When I first found out about this class, I set it out there at a particular price point. I just knew everybody was going to be amazed, and they were going to want to pay for it just like I was. And I got no sales. And I was like, okay, that price point was too high, or people don't know enough about it, or people don't know enough about me, or why should somebody like me be talking about self-image? So we did an introductory class back in December, I think. And from that class, we dropped the price, we did the class, we interacted with people, we shot some good footage, and then we were able to sell people into the class, okay? So it's okay to be iterative. There are a lot of ideas. Over and over and over. You do it one time, and then you do it another time, and you tweak it and do it some more, and you tweak it and do it some more, you tweak it and do it some more. Yep. So there are times that I have set out a class, and no one has signed up for it. And you know what I do? I say, oh, that didn't work. Let me do another class. Let me tweak it. Let me research why maybe this didn't work. But I don't take it personally. And I also don't spend 6 months preparing a class. Right. Because now this one, I think I took a couple months preparing this one, but that's because I knew this content worked for me. This is content that my mentors taught me to help me get through it, and I bought the license from them to be able to offer it to you all. I paid a lot of money for this license because it helped me. And it comes from and our workshop will come from a biblical. It's a secular class, but it's based on biblical principles that I know work. So I was willing to spend a little extra time, but I don't spend all that time. I want to make sure I got a winner first. You know. All right. Step number 5 is practice, practice, practice. Yeah, have y'all seen Little Man's hovercraft video yet? His little hovercraft video on his YouTube channel. Look him up as Philly Bob PK on YouTube. Oh, it may not be up yet. I don't know. We'll make sure it's up. He got a 94 on his science fair project, and he needed a 95 to advance.
Oh, no.
And the reason he didn't get the 95 is because he didn't practice his presentation. And he's good in front of adults. He can get up and he can sing in front of, not sing, but he can sell, he can talk, he can brief in front of adults. But when it comes to his kids' friends,
oh, wow,
he gets real nervous and he locks up and all that stuff, okay? And so I was like, well, let's practice. Oh, I don't need to practice. I know it. Well, let's just practice. Oh, no, I want it to be genuine. And this is, you'll find out next week at our it is next month, is next week. You'll find out in our speakers class that that's one of the biggest mistakes that public speakers make, is thinking they don't have to practice because they want it to sound like it's the first time. One of the things I've learned as I've become a better public speaker is that the more I practice, the more genuine I sound without being so stressed out, and the more I can make it sound like the first time because I know it's cold inside, all right? So practice, practice, practice how you're going to communicate your craft. Oops, those are John's craft, not my craft. Your craft being worth it to the person you're talking to.
Like when I was in church, if I was a reader that Sunday, I would always practice it. So when I wasn't going to stumble over names, I actually took the lesson from the pew bulletin and then blew it up in bigger letters and had multiple pages and learned how to do the nonchalant page turner.
Right, the slide.
Yeah, but it was there on the I guess that's the pulpit. And anyway, you're up there and you're reading it, but it's in bigger letters, bigger type, and if there was a word that was going to be a problem, I would change it to phonetic spelling.
Yes.
So you would do that. So when you came up to that word, and you really hoped it was not the Bible verse that has the 64 names that are very, very... Right. And in fact, one time I did it, and I did about 4 names. I said, and all the others in attendance. And everyone at the end of the service said, good job.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Yeah. But the thing is we have to know things cold, because there's like this scale. And you get some folks that are really, really creative that are outgoing, but a lot of folks that are really, really creative, their form of interaction with the world is through creating. And so it's not that everyone I talk to with this topic is introverted or prefers introversion, but it's that most of the people that I talk to who create the artwork or who write the books or design the robots or do any of those things, that they themselves tend to be a little bit more focused inward, more thinking and cerebral than outgoing and talk. And so practicing how we're going to communicate can be very beneficial. But there's nothing like getting out there and doing it in person. So when we did the night market in December, was it December? We did the night market recently, and I sold a lot of books. Hey, 40 dates in 40 months, for the true story of how I met my husband. Hey, I got 40 dates in 40 months, true story of how I met my husband. Now I'm going to tell y'all, I hate being that, that's kind of a strong word, but I have always disliked the people that when I'm walking somewhere, they call out to me and try to make me buy stuff. They're called what?
Carnival barkers.
Carnival barkers.
It's like, step right up, check your cash when it's,
Yeah. Look, if I want to see what you want to show me, I will see it. But if I'm walking by and I don't come to your booth, that means I don't want what you have to offer. Like, that's my personal mindset, right? However, that doesn't sell books.
No.
What sold books was true story, 40 dates in 4 months, how I met my husband online dating. I had so many people turn around and come, and you only learn what's comfortable for you or what works for you by actually getting out there and doing it. And so for me, I never thought I would be a carnival barker? Right. I never thought I would be a carnival barker, but you know what I want to be? A paid author. And that is more important. And it worked, okay? Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to do that everywhere, but it does work. So this is a tip that I give to people who are not comfortable with networking. And some of you may not need this tip, but for someone like me, it's always very awkward to walk into a social gathering and I don't know anybody. And then you want to figure out how to mingle. You know you're there to network. You know you're there to meet new people and to get new business, but you don't know anybody and there's nobody to introduce you to other people. Here's a great tip. I got this from Dr. Ivan Meisner, who is the founder of Business Networking International. He came to the John Maxwell conference last year, and I got to sit with him at lunch, and he's just a fantastic leader. But he gave us this tip. Look for open twos and open threes. And by open twos, he means two people who are standing in an open stance. So anybody new can just go bloop right in there. See, over here you have with a closed two. These two people, and for those of you who are online, I'm pointing in the top left corner of the screen. In the top left corner of the screen, you've got a closed two. It's really awkward for a third person to get in here or get in here, right? Similarly here up in the top middle of the screen, you've got a closed group of 4. Don't start off with those groups. Over here in the top right, you've got an open 3. You can just pop right in. You can start listening for a bit. And then you'll find a place where you can jump in. Now, see, this was me. I was this person here by myself, and what I would do is I would go right down to, I should put it on the screen. Well, I'll go right down here, boop, to the food and the drink. And I would walk around the room, still don't see anybody I know, back to the food and the drink. Walk around the room, still don't see anybody I know, back to the food and the drink. And then I'd be like, this is a waste of my time. I need to get home to my boys. I'm gone, Or I would try to go find the one person by themselves. Because, why would you come to a networking event and just stand by yourself, right? Like, why would you be there if you don't want to meet people? Well, guess what? A lot of these people standing by themselves, they really don't want to meet you. some of them do. Yes, sir.
Greatest icebreaker I ever heard. My manager at Best Buy. He walked up to me, and he had a whole group of us, and he says, "How much does a polar bear weigh?" Enough to break the ice.
Great one. All right.
It's one of those that it's subtle.
It is.
But generally, it's an icebreaker.
It is technically an icebreaker. All right. So the next thing we want to talk about today, and this is definitely one that fellow creatives have to learn like I have had to learn, and I'm still learning, honestly. We always use the phrase check your six in the military terms. Always look out for what's behind you. You look out for what's going on. But I want to encourage you today to check your 12, 12, 12. And so your first 12 is, how do you present yourself from 12 feet away? How do you present yourself? Are you dressed the part that you need to be dressed? Do you look engaging and inviting like somebody that might be able to help somebody else? You know, that's, or do you look like, don't come talk to me? So when I go to a trade show, I actually do genuinely try to hit, especially if it's a specialty trade show like the Makers Fair or the Minority Chamber Business Expo, I try to support every vendor there if I can. And so I went to this one, and I went up to, and she was just like, and she was just sitting there. She was on her phone, and she was mad. She put her phone down, and she was mad. Like not even looking at any of us. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just keep on walking. Okay. Because clearly she's not interested in talking to anybody right now. Okay? But we have to make sure that we look the part, that we look like somebody that can help. Now, I have a problem you all may not have. I have the problem that I tend to look down, and I tend to walk and present myself in a certain way that does not imply the level of confidence I have about my being able to help you. I'll just say it at that, okay, because we are recording today. And so that's something that I've had to work how to overcome. In fact, when I first started on this journey of being an entrepreneur, this was years ago, I was starting on being an entrepreneur, and I was starting, because I had an online boutique, and an in-house boutique as well. But I was also, had become a pastor's wife, and I was also young in my military career. I literally had to drive over to the next town and walk around Walmart and practice looking people in the eye. Because with my upbringing, you didn't look people in the eye. You looked down.
Oh, wow.
And that was a sign of respect. And I found out very quickly that I wasn't commanding I didn't have a commanding presence in the Air Force, and I had to learn how to look people in the eye, how to brief them confidently, and how to get the job done so that my people could have confidence in me. And so I would go to Walmart. I would go to another town so nobody would know me, right? I would go to Walmart, and I would walk, just practice walking around, looking people in the eye, looking people in the eye, looking people in the eye, until it stopped being uncomfortable for me. And so when I work with certain people groups that have problems with looking in the eye, such as autistic children, that's something that I recommend to their parents. Hey, put them in a place where they can practice. So that's our 12 feet away. The next one is our 12 inches away. And for those of you who, like me, like to eat garlic, got to understand the impact of how we smell, the impact of how we handle the personal space, the impact of how we make people feel. And then the first 12 words, which you're not going to have to worry about because you're going to do your juicy intro, right? All right. The last step is really to work on ourselves, and I'm just going to check this really quick to see if she's still coming. She says okay. She says okay. She's about to come. So what I'll do is we're going to wrap up, and then we'll probably just go grab some food and wait for her to come back. But the last step is to really work on ourselves. You say, wait a second, this is a talk about getting paid to create. Yes. What I have discovered is that all of the stuff that I created, you know, even these books, these are two of my best sellers, okay? I only published these in the last year or two. All the other 6 books that I wrote, some of them aren't here yet, all the other 6 books didn't really sell until I started working on myself and working with people who could help me learn how to up-level my game and overcome my fears and my lack of confidence in certain areas, okay? So there are a lot of different ways to build confidence of speaking. So you might say, well, gee, the whole talk is supposed to be about getting paid to create stuff. Well, I'm not going to teach you how to create stuff. What I want you to do is to learn how to better communicate the benefits of what you're creating to everybody else. And that is how you're going to get paid to create. So let's go ahead and summarize really quickly. To get paid to create, you've got to communicate quickly how you solve somebody else's pain point, how you can, you know, emphasize something in their life that they need, whether it's enhancing their reputation, their social standing, their level of success, making them feel better about life, or giving them the tool they need. When my mentors told me, hey, we can help you repair your self-image after that car accident, I was like, sign me up for that class. I didn't even have to think about it. It solved my pain point. I saw that I wasn't healing up as fast as I needed to. And to be honest with you, as a woman of faith, I realize now I was allowing a lot of other influences to speak into my life. We'll talk more about that through this class. This class starts in not next week in March, but the Wednesday after. So we'll talk more about that. But if we can do this for somebody, if we can make their pain go away, if we can help them make more money, if we can, in the case of artists, if we can beautify somebody's life or help them express emotions that they don't know how to express themselves, then we will get paid to create. Once you know who you're selling to and why it's important, practice telling it till it works, and then get confident, skilled about communicating that value, and honor your gifts and talents by doing so in a way that blesses others. All right. I didn't really talk about the guarantees today, so we're just going to stop this right now. I appreciate you guys being here today. Let me just check and see how things are with the folks online. Just check and see how they're doing here. Hey, guys, if you're online, I want to thank you guys for being here. We do have some things coming up. Next Saturday, we have an introduction to public speaking, followed by a workshop of the John Maxwell Speakers Club. Let's see. Come on, click. If you want to learn more about yourself and how you communicate, we also have the DISC reports that we can get to you. They talk about your communication and how you communicate, how you prefer to be communicated with, and how you can better communicate with somebody else. And then the self-image mastery that we talked about. Paul Martinelli and Roddy Galbraith and Dr. Bafidis, those are the folks that, I don't know why it's doing automatic. Those are the folks that took me through the class that really helped restore my confidence after that car accident. All right, so we're going to stop the recording here. I want to thank you guys for being online, and I also want to thank the folks who are in the room. Y'all take care and be blessed.